guys, this is one of my favorite days of the year. My friend Kathy's favorite day is the winter solstice because then the days get longer and those are really important to her. But my favorite day is the day that I pick out my Chantal Reads All Day challenge books. And I did that. I have a lovely stack here and I've got two that I need an opinion on. So we'll get to that in a minute, but well, I'm here, and I know it's not a very exciting building, huh? But I did it. I've got my card. It's really pretty. Hold on, let me see if I can snag it. See, look at that. Isn't that pretty? And there were options, but I liked this option. So it's done. I didn't check out any books. Don't have time for that today, but I got the card. I'm so excited. Also, I decided on the journal, and I have put reading journal on it. The paint pens that I used, they didn't like the linen very well. I probably should have used a smoothing medium, but for the most part, it doesn't bother me. It bothers me more if I've got my glasses on, but for the most part, it's fairly smooth and fairly nice. And if this is only 1 year, I'll put 20 and 25 over here. And if it's more than 1 year, I'll put 20, 25, and then like 20, 26 over here. So it's going to be cool. Now I get to start working on getting pages planned so I can share with you guys what I'm doing there. But this is Rage Bookshelf Challenge 2025. I'm so excited. Okay, so I have banana bread that I made the other night, and I've already dropped butter on me, so I probably look a mess, and it's just gonna have to be okay because I'm like, and I will have to take a bite now and then because I don't want it to get too cold, although it's kind of already there, but because banana bread and butter and yeah, all the things. So I got up to get my cheat sheet and remembered that I put all the books on sticky notes, so I don't need the cheat sheet. Having kind of a slow night tonight. I know, Neville. I know. Neville has been tortured. Mom put a bones on top of 4 stacked soda boxes, which means he barely has to raise his head to get them, but he is terrified of going under and over things. I think it's because he lived under a creosote bush as a baby. And so, yeah, he took him a good 10 minutes to get the guts to finally get that thing. So now he's staying close, like, am I gonna die? Bless his heart. And he gets a bath tomorrow, and he's not looking forward to that. Usually he likes them, but it's cold. I don't blame him for not looking forward to it. Okay, go lay down. All right, so we have 2025, and I'm taking her challenge to a bigger degree as long as I enjoy doing that. And because of that, because there's a chance that I won't enjoy doing it, I decided that I'm definitely building my TBR because I love being able to pull that book off and know that this is the one book, right? But also, what if I decide I don't like all of my TBR, trying to fit a prompt? Then I have to pick them out in the middle of the year, and that like messes with tradition and all the stuff. So I was like, no, I'm still going to do my pile. I have 15 books up here. I must have 2 for 3 of them and don't recall. We shall find out. So, because of that, we're going to go through this. But my goal is to okay, so one of the books that I know I will be reading in January is If We Cry by Terry Todd. Now, I think the layout of this cover is beautiful, even though I don't think the cover itself is necessarily particularly beautiful. But I do like the layout of the letters, and, and it's a beautiful story, and it's a beautiful concept, the way that they were trying to protect the children. And, there's just a lot of beauty in this book. So this will be on my January It Fits Beauty. I was also thinking about maybe this one for January, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I was also thinking about this one for January because I think that cover is stunningly beautiful. So, beauty for all of the prompts. But then, because I'm Shatona and I can't, just stop at one thing, I got to thinking about it, and I was like, I've got room on my little Reach Bookshelf Challenge board up there where I could move all those up a couple rows, and on the bottom I could put the word of the month. And that could, instead of how they have people pick out a word for the year, I'm thinking I'm going to pick out a word for the month, but I don't have to. I have the word picked out for me, word of the month. And some of them will be kind of strange, like December, frosty. But you know what? Maybe that's a reminder not to complain about the really cold weather when I'm walking or something. I can use it in a lot of ways. We're supposed to be cold or hot and all kinds of stuff, make all the foods that we love when it's cold. I can really lean into it. So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm not sure, but it is sort of a plan. We shall see. I don't know. What do you think? Should I do it? Yeah, I think I should do it. Okay, so up front for January, I have The Light Between Worlds by, I cannot read it because it's Laura E. Weymouth. They thought their story had ended. It had only just begun. They told us, a woodland's heart always finds its way home. But how do you find your way if your heart is torn in two? And so this is like, from what I understand, this is kind of Narnia-esque, where this is a choose your own adventure and you're going to do this thing. But this is supposed to be Narnia-esque, where these sisters end up in another world for 5-6 years, and during World War II, and then they are pulled back, and it's as if nothing has changed. And I think it was Ashley said that meant that they're kind of pulled into two directions, because in this new world they've aged and they've matured, but they go back and they're being treated, and that's very Narnia-esque to me. I know Peter definitely struggled with that. It's like, I'm a king, but here I'm just a kid, So I get the feel. I love the deckled pages. It's just such a delight to read. So my cover has been marred, but it's a reminder to me that even beautiful things sometimes get scarred, and yet that doesn't mean that they're not still beautiful. It just means that someone was an idiot. So this is my January book. Then February is Size. So some of these I'm going to take very literally for my word challenge words. I'm going to go really literal on quite a few of them, but a few I'm not. But for the rest of my TBR, I'm going to stretch and play and have as much fun with it as I possibly can, because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? So, so for February and Size, I went totally literal, and there we go. There's some sort of glue gum on here. P.G. Wodehouse's The Little Nugget, and Wodehouse is the guy who wrote the Jeeves and Wooster series, which I absolutely love. And I think that starts with the Code of the Woosters. And the back of this says, The Little Nugget is one of the novels in which Wodehouse found his feet, a comic thriller set in an English prep school for the children of the nobility and gentry. Into their midst comes an 11-year-old Ogden Ford, the mouthy, overweight, chain-smoking son of an American millionaire. Ogden, whom we meet again in Piccadilly Gym, is the object of a kidnapped attempt which forms the basis of the plot. The comedy arises from Wodehouse's favorite topics of Anglo-American misunderstanding and absurdities of school life. So I probably should try to keep these on. It's really hard for me to see, though. So yeah, Wodehouse, Little Nugget, Size, Little. Here in March is our first split. I don't know which one to make official, and I'm doing it. I'm going to have you guys help me choose, if you don't mind. So March is time. So I have 2 time options. I have a green option and a pink option. And so for the Night War, night is a time of day. And I liked Kimberly Brubaker Bradley's The War That Almost Saved My Life. And so I'm hoping that I will like The Night War. And then Seconds to Live is Susan Sleeman's first book in the Homeland Heroes series. So second is a unit of time. So very literal and mostly literal. So The Night War is middle grade, which is why I was thinking it was good for March. And I will probably read it either way. I'm not sure, but most likely. I love this tagline. It's so very true. We didn't choose how we feel, but we choose how we act. And it's very akin to what I used to tell my kids all the time. You can't always help your feelings. Your feelings are real. They're very real, but they also lie. And not all feelings are true. They're just a feeling. And it's true that you have that feeling, but that doesn't mean the feeling is accurate. So you might feel afraid in a totally fearless situation. You still feel it. It's still real, but that doesn't mean it's true. Just throwing that out there. So I liked that opening line. It gave me a lot. There's a map in here. I got to hide this because I'm not wanting you to see colors, but there's a map. Yeah. And it says, anyway, it's 1942, and 12-year-old Miriam, who is Jewish, is not safe. And yeah, so this all takes place in France under the occupation, and she is pretending to be Catholic, but then we've got some little spinous-y stuff going on. So there's that option, or there is Seconds to Live. It says, the seconds are ticking down before someone dies. When cyber criminals hack into the U.S. Marshal Witness Protection Database and auction off witnesses' personal details to the highest bidders, the Red Team, led by FBI agent Sean Nichols, begins a high-stakes chase to find the hacker. And I can stop there. I think that's sufficient to know that I'm going to enjoy this book. It says the Red Team. I think there's a blue and a green book, so maybe they're different colored teams. I don't know. But I know that this is book 1, and I'm pretty sure it's at least a trilogy. It is Homeland Heroes, book 1. So, do I want green book or pink book? There is a color on the sticky note inside of those, and one of those will be the official, the real deal thing. For whatever purposes, I'm going to put this on the shelf, but I will swap it out for this one if you think that should be my thingy. The other one will probably end up on anyway, but which one should be official? That's really what I want to know. Which one should be the official one? So, like, for daily stuff, for March and time, I'm thinking, the scriptures like redeeming the time because the days are evil, and, making good use of your time and being mindful of how I spend my time. That's kind of how I'm thinking this word thing works. And it'll be right up there where I can see it on my little board and have this constant reminder of time, right? So that's the idea. Work with me here. So April is flowers. And come on. Yeah, it's like totally on the nose, but I've been dying to read this book since it came in. Actually, I've been dying to read about it since before it was published. I found out about this whole 4 novellas in one book and, individual and all the things. And I was really excited. Guys, her next series is national parks. I'm just saying. Just putting that out there. National parks. Anyway, so A Year of Flowers. This is the one that has 3 gals who used to work for the 4th. And then something big happened. They all split up, went on different paths. So there's like 4 novellas in here. And so each one, their path is going to push them back home to the gal who trained them in the first place. And so, yes, because yes. And really, I could just read 1 a week and be done, right? So this is my idea. This is what I'm doing for flowers. And I think it's a good time of year. April is past our bloom here usually. We usually get our bloom in February and March for the desert. It depends on when it warms up. Sometimes February doesn't warm up, but then we have it in March. And sometimes it's April. Flowers, I'm thinking this is really silly. I thought of two things. Number one, flowers fade, but the word of the Lord, endures forever. But also, what if I let myself have the month of April to bring home fresh cut flowers every week? Why not? I could do that. Or maybe I will plant me a cut garden this year, and that will be flowers. I will be tending my flower garden. I don't know, but I'm thinking all the things. It's very hard to grow flowers here in the desert. The summer, even the spring, the sun is just really harsh. There's no moisture in the air to filter. The air humidity level here is 4 to 7% on average. Yeah, if it gets to 40%, it's raining. That's not supposed to happen, but it does here. So anyway, it's kind of weird. So yeah, that's definitely my flowers, and I'm really excited about it. Then May was favorite. That's the word. And so I decided to double up on my favorite and choose. This poor book has been through so much, but I love it. And yeah, so The 11th Hour by Michael Phillips. He is a favorite author, and this is probably my favorite book of his. So much rich depth. If you like him, you will probably like George MacDonald and vice versa. George MacDonald was definitely a strong mentor to him, spiritually, authorially, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, so I'm going to reread this. It's been a good 20 years since I've read it, and it's time for a revisit. I'm so looking forward to this. You have no idea. So yeah, favorite for May. Then June. Now June is another where we have two. Okay, so June is birds, and I do have two options, and the first option is Crazy on the Nose, The Nature of Small Birds by Susie Finkbeiner. I've been waiting to read this book. I love Susie Finkbeiner. She is amazing. And so this one feels like Crazy on the Nose, but I'm kind of going nose-wise here, so it's got a bird, and the bird is in the title, and I mean, how much more, whatever. And it is a little different from what we've got going on here, because this will be more like women's fiction, and I'm guessing historical-ish. 1975. Okay, I was 5. So in 1975, does that make me historical? I think it does. I consider anything pre-internet to be historical because it's a totally different world. That's just my thing. So anyway, in 1975, 3,000 children were airlifted out of Saigon to be adopted into Western homes. When one of those children announces her plans to return to Vietnam to find her birth mother, her loving adopted family is suddenly thrown back to the events surrounding her unconventional arrival in their lives. Okay. So this sounds beautiful and heartrending and all the things. So this is option 1. Then we have Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie by Alan Bradley. It is a Flavia de Luce mystery. There's a bird on the cover. On the back cover. All the coverness. So there is this one, and I think everybody knows about this, but it is the summer of 1950. And at the once grand mansion of Buckshaw, young Flavia de Luce, an aspiring chemist with a passion for poison, is intrigued by a series of inexplicable events. A dead bird is found on the doorstep. A postage stamp bizarrely pinned to its beak. Then hours later, Flavia finds a man lying in the cucumber patch and watches him as he takes his dying breath. So, yeah. This is like the beginning of a series, I believe, and I've heard good things about it. I want to know, do I want to read this? And I mean, I can read both, but which is officially on my list? Which one? Do we want pink or green? I'm not telling you which one is pink and which one is green, but one of these is pink and one of these is green, and neither of the twain shall meet, and whichever one you guys vote for will become the official
thing on the cover. So, which one for June? One of those is going on the shelf. I'll probably put the Nature of Small Birds on the thing until I get a final answer. Then July was royalty, and I went totally literal again. And I did it because I have been hearing Miriam talk about this series. And I was like, I've been planning on reading it for a long time. I need to read it, and I can actually get it on audio, I believe. So I can listen to it. I only have to read one. There are 3 books in here. I only have to read one, but this is an option. And if I really like them, great. If I don't, then okay. But yeah, so it's royal. The word is royal. And so I'm thinking, yeah, so let's go with it. I think she is a distant relative of the queen and all that goes with that. So looking forward to learning more about this, but this will be royal. And I have no idea, absolutely no idea how I'm going to use royal in my everyday life. I have no clue. I'm a daughter of the king and I better behave like it. That's about as good as I can come up with, but hey, it's what works. Okay. So then we have August, which the word is space. And this is one where I did not go literal. I could have. I have suspended in space over there and I thought about it, but I decided not to because I've been really wanting to read this book for a long time and it fit the prompt as far as my brain goes. It is Where the Blue Sky Begins. Blue sky is an expanse of space in our atmosphere. It is big. It takes up a lot of room. It is full of spaceness. And so, yeah, it's how we get to space. So all the spacenosity is in this title. Going with it. Work with me here. So this is my book for August. This is going to be my space book. Too bad. This is what I'm doing. And if I get into it and I totally change my mind, I can always pull up. I'm going to be looking for space books. I mean, you know, I think I'm going to be doing some nonfiction on that spaceness because I thought about it and I was like, there's probably some great space stuff. But there's also a book title. I'm just going to throw this freebie out there. There's a book title. It's by Michelle Phoenix. The Space Between Words. There's the word space in the title. Has nothing to do with science fiction or whatever. That book, practically broke me. It was a beautiful story. It dealt with the Huguenots. And that was just, you know, it's not a historical fiction. It is contemporary. But it also dealt with stuff in the past and with the Huguenots. And it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story. Loved it. So if you're looking for something a little different, Christian fiction, awesome. So yeah, for space and August, we're doing Where the Blue Sky Begins by Katie Powner. Sometimes the hardest road of all is the road home. When confident and handsome Eric Larson is sent to a rural Montana town to work in the local branch of his uncle's financial company, he's determined to exceed everyone's expectations, earn a promotion, and be back in Seattle by the end of summer. Yet nothing could prepare him for the lessons this small town has in store. Sign me up. Now my problem, seriously, is going to be, how do I manage to wait until, what is this, August? Yeah. Okay. I've heard nothing but good about Katie Powner. I feel like I've read one book of hers, but I can't tell you what it is, so maybe I haven't. Whatever. Okay. The next word for September is travel. And so I went literal and more literary. Okay. So the first option is Terry Garner's Magi Journey. This is book 1, Assyria. And this is just chronicling what might have happened with the Magi as they traveled to Bethlehem. Following the star, finding the star, all the starness. Okay. So this is their Assyrian journey. And yeah, I'm just going to stop there. For one thing, the back is really hard to read. So, okay. And then second, Anthony Doerr, Cloud Cuckoo Land. I think I was told to read this one before All the Light We Cannot See. From what I understand, All the Light We Cannot See is a very hard to read book. It's full of, I think, World War II stuff that's really rough. This is more, and this is just what I've been told. I don't know. This is just what I've been told. This is more fantastical, and the back says, hauntingly beautiful. Anthony Doerr again takes language beyond mortal limits. To open a book by Anthony Doerr is to open a door on humanity. So yeah. But I consider this more a literary travel, in that we're going to travel to other lands inside the book. Set in Constantinople in the 15th century, in a small town in present-day Idaho, and on an interstellar ship decades from now, Anthony Doerr's gorgeous third novel is a triumph of imagination and compassion. A soaring story about children on the cusp of adulthood, worlds in peril, who find resilience, hope, and a book. In Cloud Cuckoo Land, Doerr has created a magnificent tapestry of times and places that reflects our vast interconnectedness with other species, with each other, and to those who lived before us, and to those who will be here after we're gone. I'm just going to stop right there. So September is travel, and these are my two options. They will probably both be read again. So which one do we want? Do we want pink or green? One of these is pink, one of these is green. Which one? Which one? Yeah, and I'm making a mess of it. This sounds absolutely fabulous. I'm sold. And so part of me wants to say just this one. But on the other hand, I have this whole series, and I've had it for a couple of years. I wanted to read it last Christmas, and I didn't. And it was one of the ones I didn't force myself to read this Christmas, because it would have felt like forcing, even though it shouldn't. I'm looking forward to it. But this is really pulling at me this minute. But will it be in September? Who knows? Who knows? September is sometimes the month that I travel to North Carolina / East Tennessee and have my writing retreat. So maybe this year we'll have it. I don't know. I don't know. So yeah. Okay. October is history. And I just looked at my entire historical fiction shelf and grabbed one. And this is the one I grabbed. And I've been wanting to read it ever since I saw it. So, The Secret Society of Salzburg. This is one of the love-inspired trade novels. It's a full-size book, not the little thingies. And it says, inspired by true events, this is a gripping and heart-wrenching story of two very different women united to bring light to the darkest days of World War II. London, 1933. At first glance, Austrian opera singer Elsa Meyer-Braun has little in common with the young English typist she encounters on tour. Yet, she and Hattie Featherstone forge an instant connection and strike a dangerous alliance. Using their friendship as a cover, they form a secret society with a daring goal: to rescue as many Jews as possible from Nazi persecution. Oh, yes. It has to do with history, so it counts. But there are so many ways I can do history. I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. So there is that one. Next up is November, and it's food. I decided to go more like food for thought and food for the soul. And I went with Charles Martin's What If It's True? A Storyteller's Journey with Jesus. And so I don't know if I'm going to like it, because you know, he's making a lot of presumptions and whatever. But I have two books by him. They Turned the World Upside Down, I think, is one, and this one. And I've been wanting to read it for quite a while. And he's very clear about this is a what-if scenario. What if all this, you know, what if this is what's behind stuff, and what if... And it sounds like he's careful about that, but I don't know. And until I read it, I won't know. But I think it's why I've kind of pulled back and not read it yet. But if I'm not going to like it, both of them need to get off my shelf, right? So I went with Food for Thought and possibly Food for the Soul. If nothing else, it will be driving me to the Word. So that's good. So that's November. And then finally, I went literal on December, which is Frosty. And I'm not going to let myself read this book this year. This is so hard. I want so much to do it, but I'm not. And I'm saving A Soul as Cold as Frost by Jennifer Croft for next year, because frost and frostiness. Also because I got to noticing that it is kind of a chunky book, and I want to make sure that I get to read the ones I already have up here. So I said no. And I did manage to climb up and get this without killing myself. Although I did knock down about 6 drawers that go in those card catalogs. I made a total racket, you know. Then I peeked in the door of my mom's room. Her room is between our room and the back library. And I just opened the door into her room and I was like, oops. And I shut the door and made her laugh, and life is good. So, okay. So this is A Soul as Cold as Frost, and it says, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good fright. So this is book 1 of the Winter Solstice series. And who was the publisher? I can't remember. Winter Publishing House. I don't know who Winter Publishing House is. So I have no idea if there is any faith content in this or not. Let's see. After Helen Bell's eyes are open to see the invisible. I'm really having trouble. To see the invisible folk who drift into our world from a realm called Winter, she's compelled to go on the run into their snowy world to avoid being forced to battle in the quarrel of the sword and bone, a death sentence for anyone who steps into the arena with the deranged Winter Queen, whose soul crisped, I think it says crisped to frost long ago. So I don't really know much. That doesn't really tell me much, but I keep hearing good things, and I'm hoping that it will be a good thing. So this is the thing. And because all of these books are way too hard for me to try to hold up, I'm going to put them on the shelf here in a minute.